I hope you enjoy my stories. Instead of just clicking thumbs down, please comment and share how we can do better. If you do like our video, then please like and subscribe.
HOA raising money for itself by adding a one-time fee for buyers. So, a while ago, I stumbled upon this piece of mail that kind of slipped under my radar, only coming back to haunt me now in hindsight. It was from the HOA, announcing some meeting where they were planning to discuss implementing a one-time $2,000 fee for new buyers, all under the guise of protecting the financial stability of the HOA. Now, looking back, I really kick myself for not attending that meeting because I'm left hanging, not knowing whether the fee was just a proposal or if it's now the new norm here. If they did pass it, they've essentially slapped on an extra $2,000 charge to the price tag of buying a home in our neighborhood, on top of the usual fines and dues they're infamously known for. Honestly, I'm itching to get a peek at their financials, because the math isn't adding up for me. They're raking in $250,000 a year just from our dues alone. Now, take a walk around our neighborhood. We're talking about a modest amenities center and 3 lighted entrances that hardly scream luxury or high maintenance. That's it. No street maintenance. No trash or recycling services to speak of. It's pretty basic as far as neighborhoods go. And while I don't have the exact figure on what the management company is pocketing for their role, I can't fathom it justifying this push for more cash. What's really grinding my gears is trying to figure out why they feel the need for more money. And why on earth would they think it's a good idea to make it tougher for us residents to sell our homes by effectively inflating the selling price by $2,000? It's puzzling and frustrating in equal measure. I should probably add a bit of context here. Our neighborhood isn't some high-rise condo complex. It's exclusively single-family detached homes. So, this whole situation feels even more disproportionate and uncalled for considering our relatively low-key setup. And yeah, I've been meaning to be more active around here. You guys are awesome, and it feels great to vent and get things off my chest. Thanks for lending an ear, or an eye, I guess. Just bought a house last year and let it be known that I wasn't into HOAs during the buying process. Agent set me up with a new build neighborhood and never mentioned HOAs during any of the process. I found out I'd be a part of an HOA during the signing process from the lawyer when he presented the paperwork. My realtor wasn't there, so I didn't really know what to do. They said I couldn't get the house without it, and this was after half a year of looking in paperwork. I feel cheated and tricked TBH and was wondering what my options are. The HOA is still owned by the builder and hasn't been transferred yet. Kinda late for it, and dismantling the HOA in some dramatic legal technicality seems like a lot of work. I'm probably just going to sell in the next year or two. I live in a pretty drastically growing area, so I stand to turn a nice profit even with projected lowering of rates. New development community HOA unilaterally decided to double fees. Meeting in a couple days. What can we do? We're in a multi-developer new community in Central Texas, with our house being completed for about 1.5 years. Neighbors have all moved in. It's been about 5 years for people in Phase 1 waiting on the promise of a finished amenity center with swimming pool, etc. Without sufficient prior notice, I received the notice on February 1st. The professional HOA group appointed by the developers decided to double the fees from $100 a quarter and backdate the effective due date to January. They cited rising costs for the increased fees. All neighbors are quite upset about this. Naturally, for the increased fee and HOA not perform their duties, clean up, mowing, maintain or improve walking trails, etc., and at the least behind on their promise in amenity center construction. What could be our recourse? HOA annual meeting is in a couple of days. How do we effectively raise hell? We are open to all ideas. HOA, blind eye. Oh, where to start? Where to start indeed. So our HOA is the one that most people imagine in their mind and shudder at the thought of. They'll ride around the morning after garbage day and take pictures of garbage cans still on the curb or in the driveway, mailing you a color copy of your infraction. They'll harp on not having enough trees or having them in the wrong place, and they'll harp the color of your front door. Silly, trivial things that don't actually affect anyone or affect property values. On the other hand, they will turn a complete blind eye to willful violations. Don't want to mow your lawn and let it grow 24-inch plus tall? No worries. Don't feel like you should pay for outside storage for your RV, travel trailer? No problem. Leave it in the street. Don't have enough storage in your home? Just rent a moving pod and leave it in your driveway permanently. No joke, all of those things happen in our HOA and go unchecked. We have a neighbor at the end of our street who didn't mow their lawn all summer, last year, and the grass grew up to their windows. There was weeds that grew taller than their trees. Neighborhood is only 8 years old, so trees are that tall. Then, one morning, that same neighbor had a moving pod dropped in their driveway, and it's now been there for, coming on, 10 months. The neighborhood is littered with smaller RVs and travel trailers, not to mention people who have a small fleet of cars taking up half the darn block. Meanwhile, I've gotten 2 notifications for my trash cans having been out the day after garbage day. I told the HOA I'm going to stop paying for storage for my boat and park it in my driveway. If you can't beat them, join them. HOA fines for tree debris. We have a very small rock landscape yard with a large tree, possibly called an African sumac. We didn't pick this tree. It is one of the worst trees in the neighborhood, so we have been warned and fined twice for tree debris, where they take a picture of fallen leaves in our yard. The problem is we clean up our yard, and within 5 days there is tree debris everywhere again. This is because our tree is in fall mode. We live in Vegas where fall doesn't happen in fall, and has tons of leaves. We can't afford a landscaper right now, so all maintenance is done by us either once or twice a month. The point is it could be 1 week after blowing leaves from the yard, and they'll send us a notice resulting in fines saying we haven't reconciled the issue. Anyway, do I have any rights or an argument to give during the HOA hearing? On a side note, the common area that the HOA is in charge of looks like shit and is layered in leaves and trash. So the hypocrisy is kind of funny. Another administrative fee. Hey all, I just bought a 1-bed condo in New Jersey. Yes, in this market. It is bittersweet. The day before the closing, the HOA management company levied an administrative fee of $700. Their only justification was that this was charged for filling out a questionnaire and forwarding some documents over email. I stood my ground against it and they took it out before closing. The seller wasn't aware of any of this. The day after, the management company head calls me asking for my thoughts, which were very clearly elaborated over email. I reiterated and we tried to end the call amicably. My attorney says that he sees these fees all the time, however agrees that I should have a proper justification for the charges. I'm wondering if I did wrong by the management company in any way because I don't want to take away any compensation from anyone who has worked towards a deal. However, the figure didn't seem fair to me for what I was getting in return. Would any of you done the same? They say I can't plant trees, but what about potting them? Dealing with my HOA's strict rules about planting fruit trees in our garden is a real pain. I mean, who doesn't want some fresh mangoes or avocados right outside their door? But they're adamant about it, so I've been thinking outside the box. I figured, why not try potting some small fruit trees instead? Grabbing a few medium-sized pots, I can plant those trees and keep them on my porch or in the yard. Sure, they won't grow massive or produce a ton of fruit, but at least I can control their size, right? And hey, it's not like anyone's going to notice. With all the other rule breakers in the neighborhood planting whatever they want, my little fruit tree pots will blend right in. Plus, it's a new community, so the HOA is probably too busy with bigger issues to notice my sneaky workaround. But you know, there's something kind of exciting about this whole plan. It's like I'm on a secret mission to grow my own fruit right under their noses. And who knows, maybe if it works out, I'll inspire others in the neighborhood to try it too. I know it sounds kind of silly, but it's worth a shot. I'm all about finding ways to enjoy some homegrown goodness without ruffling too many feathers. Here's hoping my mini orchard flies under the radar. Aggressive neighborhood Karen keeps reporting me to the HOA, but may be trespassing in order to do so. You won't believe the headache my HOA has been giving me lately. It's been a year-long battle over what they claim is an overgrown area in my yard. Can you believe it? It's just one measly vine plant nestled snugly between my AC condensers. And let me tell you, it's not exactly causing a jungle out there. You can't even spot it from the street or the alley, and my neighbor's house acts like a privacy shield from the side. Sure, there was a time when the plant dared to poke its head above the condensers. But I wasn't about to let that slide. I grabbed my gardening tools and went to town, cutting it down and pulling up as many roots as I could. I'm no green thumb, but even I know that having vines snaking into your AC unit is a recipe for disaster. But here's where it gets really frustrating. Despite all my efforts to keep things tidy, the HOA keeps slapping me with fines. It's like they have X-ray vision or something. because there's no way they can see that plant without trespassing onto my property or my neighbors. And yet, they're quick to whip out their fine book, hitting me with $250 penalties left and right. Now, I've tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's my neighbor playing tattletale from his own yard. Or maybe the HOA rules give them the power to snoop around wherever they please. If that's the case, then I guess I'm out of luck. But if not, you better believe I'm taking matters into my own hands. I'm talking about setting up a sneaky surveillance camera, catching whoever's behind this game of HOA whack-a-mole. Because let's be real, every time they decide to take a stroll onto private property to report something they can't even see from a public spot, it's my property value that takes the hit. And I'm tired of it. It's time to channel my inner detective and put an end to this nonsense once and for all. Constant water leak issue results in mold. Man, we've been dealing with water leaks in our basement for over a year now. We even put in a request for repair about 6 months ago, but the board totally ignored us. Then, when a management company took over, they asked for pictures, but still didn't do anything about it. This last time, though, we made sure to include pictures showing the problem. They finally sent out a contractor who said cracks in the foundation were causing the leaks and promised to get back to us. It's been a week and a half, and now the management company says they're waiting on the board for approval. We got fed up and decided to take matters into our own hands. We pulled out the baseboards and found black mold. Can you believe it? Both our insurance and the condo insurance won't cover the water damage, even though the mold is wrecking our carpet. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'm thinking of getting the health department involved and maybe even talking to a lawyer. I can't help but wonder how much mold is lurking in the insulation and drywall by now. And it's not just us. There are almost 200 other issues documented by other owners that the condo board isn't fixing. It's like they're just turning a blind eye to everything. It's beyond frustrating.